Hello, everyone. Tonight on Fired Up Conservative Talk, I'm William del Pilar, a no nonsense, politically incorrect conservative Latino who's not here to polish talking points, but to tear through the spin. Tonight, we dive into Candace Owens versus Nick Shirley, a 23-year-old journalist doing real on the ground work against fraud and gangs, and a big name conservative anti Semite moron, Candace, calling his reporting stupid, dumb, and made up. Jealousy, anyone? We're going to ask what it means for the movement when friendly fire targets the people actually doing the investigations. You don't see Nick Shirley saying, "We're close to the truth" 200 days ago. And with that, let's bring in the Panama. Let's bring in the beautiful Miss Annette Ross. And then G Man. All right. Owens publicly tries to discredit Nick Shirley. So Candace Owens used the March episode to go after. She went after 23-year-old Nick or journalist Nick Shirley. She blasted his Brazil reporting as stupid, dumb, and made up. And she mocked him as a nice-looking white boy. Hey, I think Candace is a nice-looking black girl. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I got my picture taken by her. We're homies. I'm being sarcastic, people. I did meet her though briefly. She'll never remember me. But the attack landed on the young investigator who had just exploded in conservative circles for exposing all the alleged Minnesota daycare fraud. It's not in my notes, but also exposed voter fraud in SoCal, San Diego, when he reported on homes having over 100 people as living there, P.O. boxes having hundreds of people registered to the box, which is illegal. So, for many on the right, Owens seemed to come out of nowhere. She swung at Shirley. She raised questions about why a former conservative stalwart like her, now a champion for what appears to be anti-Semitism, why she's trying to crater a rising investigative journalist. So while the right is starving for real investigation, why is one of our loudest commentators trying to bury the 23-year-old actually doing for them? So I got more notes I want to talk about, but I don't want to hog it out here. So let's get here. Why would Candace always choose to attack a 23-year-old investigator whose work other conservatives have been praising instead of challenging his claims privately? Because she always talks about, why don't they just DM me first? Or carefully challenging him on the facts. G.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this all day. I mean, it's perplexing why she's basically going after conservative people. There is when you're in the majority, your coalition tends to start to split apart. But she is bizarre in my opinion. I mean, I might think jealousy. I mean, this guy just rose out of nowhere, right? In the last 2-3 months. This is a video from last August that she's
Yes.
criticizing. So this was published 6-7 months ago, and I mean, I don't know whether okay, it is legit. I was watching those guys say in Portuguese what they do, but they kept repeating, "The police better not come here. The police better not come here." So I'm sitting there going, "Okay, these gangsters, they just want to get their message out, right, on social media. That's all their angle is. So of course they're going to bring him in." Maybe she thinks, "Okay, well he can't go in there and survive." Maybe that's what Candace was thinking. So maybe Nick staged this thing, but I
Now,
don't think. Right. So, but that doesn't make any sense to me. There were a couple points in there where Nick said, "I'm not sure. I'm not. This is scary, right?" Like I could see on his face, he was scared. And at one point, he says, "Well, why are you going to kill me?" And you can maybe make the argument, maybe that question's staged. But those guys said, "No, we're not going to kill you. You pose no threat to us. We're just talking about the police, right, or rival gang members." So I'm sitting there watching this, going, because I'm trying to view it from Candace's eyes and say, is there anything that she has legitimate on him? And I just couldn't see it. He has, so I can't remember the guy's name, but there's a guy from like Eastern Europe, and he goes out and he does these wild things on YouTube, right? Like he'll go after honey that gives you a LSD trip, or he'll go to the coldest place in the world or the hottest place in the world. And his videos are entertaining. They're 30-40 minutes long. That's what Nick Shirley's videos give me the vibe of. So I just saw him doing something like that. And
All right. All right. So, Annette,
Yeah,
just basic premise. Do you think, real quick first, that Nick Shirley is a nice looking white boy with a camera? Is that what you think when you see Nick Shirley?
that's for G, right?
No, that's for you. Real quick before I go to the
Oh,
rest.
I'm not answering that.
he seems young to me.
A little bit. Up to you.
Okay, you said, "Geez, say this real quick." So, no,
Yeah, hold
I
on. Before I get to you, I want to add a couple of things. So she didn't just say she had questions. She said to repeat. She branded his work as stupid, dumb, and made up. So let's watch the video of Candace, and then I'll get your reaction to that.
I watched it real time.
Well, okay, but the audience may not have.
No, I know, just saying. I'm ready for it.
Find myself
Can
on
you
top
guys hear
of
that?
Brazil's largest favela in a destroyed house, interviewing gang members of one of the largest gangs in Brazil.
Okay, I'm just gonna say I don't believe that at all. I'm sorry. I just, it's so stupid. I'm not even gonna tell you why I don't believe it. It's like if you don't know that that's stupid, that he infiltrated the gang in 48 hours. It's just that's so. I'm so tired of dumb. That's not how that works. Okay, you don't just go up to gangs on the street as a nice looking white boy with a camera and say, "Hey, I just wanted to sort of like see what you're doing here. What's going on?" Okay, just stop. That's stupid. Of course, that's. I'm sorry, Nick. I know you're young. I hope whoever is your contact that has you infiltrating Antifa and infiltrating El Salvador at the age of 23 years old just feels like Sean Penn young to me. Like, oh, Sean Penn's always there with.
All right, let me remove this here. So, Annette, why would Candace always choose to attack him, whose work other conservatives have been praising instead of challenging his claims privately? Already asked that. So, what messages does this send to other young reporters when a major conservative voice publicly calls his on the ground work stupid, dumb, and made up?
Well, I mean, I have to agree with part of what she said. I thought the same thing when I saw the clip. How does he get that close to that kind of this is now we're talking about exactly the clip she showed of them in Brazil with these gangs. I mean, I don't think that that would be that it's not an easy thing to do. It doesn't that necessarily seem made up, but I'm not sure he was as close to the real thing as he might think that he was. I don't think that she's jealous at all. And I think that when you guys talk about Candace or Tucker, what I see more than anything is I can tell, not maybe UG, but you for sure, William, you and I disagree on this completely. I can just tell you don't watch their shows.
I
Watch
used to. I don't watch him anymore.
though every single day. And this was very much an aside with Candace. She's on a completely different trajectory. She brought him up because she was talking about an interview that he did with like Andrew Colvett. So then his name was sort of out there. And she's like, yeah, and I don't think that Nick Shirley, this is sort of like who this guy is. It wasn't really about him, but that's what people took from it because everybody's annoyed with Candace. So anything that they can find to say that seems negative or derogatory, or she's like this horrible person. She's trying to get to the bottom of what happened to Charlie Kirk, and that's honestly
Okay, answer this real quick. She says we're close. We're close. 200 days ago. Any day now. 200 days ago.
yeah.
Any day now. 200 days ago. Floor is
Now,
yours.
I would just say to you, where's the fucking FBI? What are they doing?
See, this is what you always do. You move the goalposts. We're 200 days. No. She said she's close. Her investigations, her sources. We're close, people. Keep hitting that subscribe button. Close. Answer.
I think they are getting close. I think it takes a long time if you're independent like that to put that kind of a thing together. I'm sorry because if you believe
That's why it's you, because you always default, where's the FBI? That's how they always do it. You never want to answer. So why is she so close when she said she was close 200 days ago? She said she was close 200 days ago.
she is on her own and with the people that are listening, trying to come up with what went on, and she's doing it literally piece by piece by piece.
Okay, so let me tell you
I will
That's
say something about the
true.
actual clip that we just saw. I think Candace is right when he used the wrong word. He used the word infiltrate. He didn't infiltrate. Infiltrate means like you got in there, you snuck in there. I believe the title of his
right.
video is Infiltrate. He gained access. Okay, that would be
Right.
accurate.
Yes, he
And
did.
maybe
He gained
yeah,
access.
and no one can disagree with that part of it, right? Like he found someone, said, "Can you get me in there? I want to interview these guys. Will I be safe?" Yes, 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 yes. But he made it sound like, "Oh, I landed 48 hours and then all of a sudden I was on this guy's doorstep interviewing him." No, that's not what happened. He worked this out weeks in advance. That doesn't mean that his video is in bad faith or an error or anything like that, but maybe she just viewed that as, well, that's not really true. That's just a clickbait title. And if I criticize Nick Shirley for anything, I will jump on the bandwagon that, yeah, that's a clickbait title. But I think Candace has plenty of her own clickbait titles. So does Tucker and Bill O'Reilly and us. Us, we have clickbait titles, but that's the way you have to do YouTube.
Okay, so let me tell you the truth so we keep moving here. Okay, so he linked up with a local guy. I know firsthand that can be done. I've seen that done. You guys think this is freaking Hollywood. It's not. These are human kids, and they love the attention. And when I say kids, I really mean kids. And he hooked up with a local guy to enter the favela, then relied on the fixers who paid the gangs that let him and his small crew. He was protected. They love the attention. He says he befriended lower level soldiers. I did that, not by choice, by pure accident, because my cousin will, hey, I got to go make an errand here. Next thing you know, I'm in the middle of gang country with talking to a local leader. He asked for permission to film, and they even post for photos. Why? They're egos. They're ego driven. They're living the Hollywood life in their minds, the gang life. Y'all think that's how it is in real life. It's not. The contact eventually led him to a high-ranking, heavily wanted gangster who cannot leave the favela because of facial recognition cameras in Rio, and that's the man he interviewed. He's not the first guy to have done this. There's a phenomenal book. Both of y'all should read it. I would assume G probably read it. It came out 20, maybe 30 years ago now, Freakonomics. And it's one of my favorite books because of these it has a bunch of stories like this. And economist Stephen Levitt and socialist Sudhir Venkatesh used the word infiltrated as well, a Chicago crack dealing gang almost by accident. What was he doing? He was going door to door in the Southside housing projects. He stumbled. I remember from the book, he stumbled onto the junior gang members who didn't trust him. Who's this white boy or Indian or whatever? You're not here for surveys. You're this. They held him overnight. They befriended him. He earned their trust, earned the leader's trust, and he was allowed to gather data for a few years, sit in meetings, see the notebooks, see the financial records. On a side note, he concluded real quick, you're better off getting a job at McDonald's because that's pretty much what they earn at the lower levels. And the guys at the mid levels, they end up in jail after a couple of years. It's like one of the worst career paths for anybody to take. So his research showed the gangs are run like franchises, businesses like McDonald's. Top bosses make the big money, foot soldiers. But the point is he got in there. Others have gone into the favelas in Brazil. They're world famous for them. It's like they go there. They love being filmed. They love being talked. My cousin, I won't say which cousin, took me into the ghettos. I walked into this lower income, and the guy's house was like a mansion inside. He's showing me, because I'm the American. Oh, the American's here. Got him president. Show me all his stuff. Telling me, yeah, I got to go work later tonight. You want to come? I'm like, no, I'm not saying to work. It's like, I just waiting for my cousin. I did not want to be there. But they were open. They said, yeah, you got to come back and you got to hang out. I was taken to a ghetto to go meet a black cousin of mine who had just gotten out of prison, who I had never met, who wanted to meet me. And you got to stick close to me in this ghetto. There's a lot of gangbangers on him. It happens. When Candace was speaking, every American who's never experienced any time in the ghetto, the barrio, the trailer parks, anywhere, they think like her, an ignorant bigot. Because what she said, I'm like, I hear that all the time from ignorant bigots who had no clue, because it sounds so unbelievable in her mind, it can happen. Not everybody does all their research and investigations from a computer with anonymous sources and then claim they're close to getting to the truth. Shirley actually gets to the truth. He got to the truth at the luring center. He got to the truth with these gangs. He actually doesn't have to say we're close. He's there. And he gets the actual results. And that's what she's jealous of. So, for the record, I was a big fan of Tucker. I subscribed to him his first year. I was a big fan of Candace. I purposely went to that meeting to get my mug taken next to her so I could meet a rising star. A young, strong, beautiful black woman. Now I loathe both of them for what they're doing. So don't tell me I don't know who and what they are. Once I figured them out, saw them, I'm like, that's not me. I'm out of here. But us ghetto people, and I'm exaggerating, I'm being facetious. I was a suburb guy who had ties to the ghetto because my family was dirt poor. But I was taken out of that life. And I never went back, but I have cousins and friends in that life. And trust me, it's an adventure. But I wanted to get the hell out of that house only because that's not me. That's not my environment. And that you guys need to read the book Freakonomics. That's a book it's 10 zillion different types of stories. And it's called Freakonomics. It came out about 30 years ago. It was like this super duper bestseller for months upon months. And it really gets down to the nitty gritty. It's what got me really interested in data and understanding
Well, I
data.
have another book that you'd love. It's even older than 30 years ago. It's called How to Lie with Statistics. And that's why
Yeah, I've seen that one too. I can't remember if I
like
read it or not.
data can be untrue as well.
Annette, I know how to lie with statistics. I saw it happen in my industry all the time. But misread it, and their conclusions weren't faulty. But I'm like, you're missing this factor. But some people use it to flat out lie,
For
especially
sure.
when it comes to climate change, especially when it comes to government numbers. So the right is reacting to this, and they're more along the lines of where I'm coming from. They're saying it's professional jealousy. It's a younger, hungrier reporter who doesn't have to claim he's close, but actually gets there. And some people actually, I don't believe this. See, I don't believe that they're bought and they're being paid to do this, do that. But maybe they are. I don't know. I'm open to anything. They say she's following orders and helping run a demoralization op. Dan Bongino, who is Jeeves next door Slim Bob. I'm sure you saw the episode. One of my favorite spy clips of one of the former Russian spies when he came in the 70s. He did an interview of how the Soviet Union was eventually going to take over the U.S. long term. And it fits perfectly to what's happening now. It's just not the Russians doing it and the demoralization and how they do it. So all this does is demoralize other up and comers. So there's almost no visible grassroots support for Owens on this. Many already believe, and some believe she's conspiracy and ego. I mean, I think Farmer, her husband's nothing but a duck with a C, and Ian Carroll's the one who's making deep hard love to Candace. They're really tight now. So I know, Annette, you're going to say, "Am I being too harsh?" Annette, the floor is yours. Have I lost the plot here? Be honest. If you think I have, that's fine.
No, I mean, you've already been, I think, the harshest you've ever been with me on the show. So I will just say to you that if she really wanted to denounce Nick Shirley, why even bring him up? Because I never heard of the guy I really hadn't until his name came up on her show. So maybe she's given him some more clicks than he might have ever had. I mean, I really don't know. I didn't know much about him. I will say about her.
About Nick Shirley, though, Annette.
But I didn't remember. I didn't remember him. Yeah, sure we have, but I didn't like really register. So I hasn't. Now he's definitely on my radar. But let me just say that, and I know you don't see it. Why don't you think that maybe when people take a path and they're on a journey and they're in search of something called truth, it can lead them down different paths. And maybe Tucker and Candace have changed. That's what people say. They've changed. I don't think so. I think for whatever reason, their path has led them to where they're at right now. And it can continue to change. It can continue to evolve. But I don't criticize it the way you do, because I think that at the root of it, there is something there with both of them that I'm still watching and I'm still interested in where they might be going. I mean, I know sometimes Candace says things and I'm like, whoa, that doesn't seem right to me. Sometimes she says things and I say that resonates as something that's true. So I don't think that, I think truth comes from a lot of different sources. And I think there's something within us that resonates when we hear it. And then I listen further. I also, before the show tonight, listened to Ian Carroll, his 2-hour show about the war. And it was honestly pretty fascinating. So you could denounce these people or make fun of them and think that they're a bunch of garbage or being paid by I don't even know who, but I don't think they are. I think they're seeking the truth, and they too are trying to find out what's really going on. And I think we don't know what's really going on at the moment.
All right, G.
So I'm gonna I don't watch Candace. I'm gonna base it off of what Annette said, that this was just a small moment in whatever 1, 2, 3 hour show that she does.
Real quick, G. real quick. She was commenting off of Andrew Colvin. She
That's
hates him
right.
now. She hates all of TP USA. So I think poor Nick got caught in the crossfire, but she took her
Yes.
opportunity to take a shot. But she did it because she hates Culver. She hates TP USA.
It
Okay,
was
so
all
no, that could be the case, but okay, so if this guy is basically gaining acclaimed fame inside conservative circles, it's because of what he's done in b-
Minnesota,
Minnesota
yes.
and what
San
he's doing in
Diego.
Southern California, right? So I don't understand why she would go on his channel and go back 7, 8 months and say, "Oh, look at this video," and watch that one and then call him out, right? Like you would focus in on what he's doing right now and say, "Okay, this is a good thing." So I don't get her motivation because if she just wanted to talk about Nick Shirley, she would be talking about what he's doing in Minnesota and California. But no, she had to go back to August and say, "Here's what he did in Brazil. How stupid. And he's just a pretty boy with all these gangsters." Okay, well, he used the word infiltrate. Maybe that was in the title of the video. Maybe that's why when she was scrolling, she saw that and said, "Oh, that looks interesting," and clicked on it. Okay. But let's talk about what he's doing good now. So are you being overly harsh? Yes. But is she being nitpicky because of her beef with TPUSA and she doesn't like Erica? Probably. So again, I don't think anyone's 100% evil except Hitler or anyone 100% good except Jesus. I don't watch Candace, and it's a nothing burger to me, but I just still don't understand why she would go after him like that, except for some kind of rivalry, which is stupid. If you're watching, Candace, you should go after, the vote fraud. I mean, that's a huge thing in California. Maybe we're a blue state because of the fraud, and if you remove the fraud, we'd be a red state, and we could get some of our things passed in the nation if we got rid of the vote fraud. But we're not because we're talking about Nick Shirley and his Brazil thing. Like, what's the point of that?
She's trying to start a fight. She makes 6 figures a month doing these type of outlandish things. I mean, always claiming to be getting close. That's my issue with her. We're never close. She laughs. She was laughing at a comedian who was mocking Erica Kirk. I'm. We've all talked about it. I mean, I think I can say at least for Annette and I, we're not Erica Kirk fans,
Right.
But you don't see me mocking her because she's done nothing. But for Candace, it's feeding the clickbait machine. It's getting those 6 figures. Nick Shirley starting to ride high. Hey, attack the guy who's popular, get more clickbait. They're not on a daily search. They're out there making the outlandish claims without anything to back it up. Tucker's been caught in lie after lie after lie, and I'm mocking her because she's so close. Because that's what she always says. We're so close. We're so close. We're so close. The only thing that's going to save her from the Macron lawsuit is that the Macrons are eventually not going to want to appear here because they're going to have to with our justice system the way it's set up. But pretty much that's gone silent. She does all these things. It's for clicks. She feeds the beast. She's not doing any deep search. She's feeding the clickbait machine. I don't have to prove anything. You just go to her site and see it. What has she actually solved since she went on her tirades 2 years ago? Nothing. We're closer to Bridget Macron being a man today as we were when she first brought it up. But she did say there too, we're close. We're close. I got the proof. I got the proof. But she doesn't ever bring the proof. It's kind of like a politician who sits there and says, who talks about solving this, solving that, but never actually solves it and then doesn't want to solve it because solving it ends the ability to grift off it politically. That's Candace. She's never going to solve the Kirk murder. She's never going to solve and Epstein. She's never going to solve that either. Nick Shirley, she's picking on a rising star. Nick Shirley's got about over 7 million total followers. She has over only 19. But Nick Shirley is seen as that bright, shining star right now. Let me remind you people before we move on. Candace wasn't invited to the funeral. Candace wasn't invited to the wedding. The last time they actually had meaningful conversations was a couple of years ago, as those tweets that she shows they're that old. I think she's a bitter woman. I don't know if she's a lesbian like some people claim. I don't care. But I do know this. She's bitter and she's angry. But she's an angry woman that has burned her bridges everywhere she's gone. And that's documented. Whether it was Charlie Kirk, whether it was the Daily Wire, and now it's through her own words. I do search for the truth. I read like there's nonstop. I want to know the truth, but I also know false prophets when I see them. And that's what I see in both her and Tucker. For this episode of Fired Up Conservative Talk. If you like what you heard, like, subscribe, and follow on YouTube and Rumble. Search for Grumblings Media and join the community. We try to punch back. with solutions. So share the show, drop a comment, and help us beat the algorithms that love to bury our voice. Big thanks to the G-Man and Miss Annette Ross for bringing the heat and the honesty, Annette. I'm William Del Pilar, your conservative Latino. This is Fired Up Conservative Talk. Until next week, stay safe, stay informed, and don't just live life, live it fired up.
I was going to say, pray for our troops.